Hi, today we are talking about making a foundational shift. And this is part of my process for overcoming anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress, complex PTSD, um, and how I help clients do this. And this is um, something I haven't had words for before, but this is how I help people create sustainable health and wellness, lasting transformation. And it's a lot different than what we think about when we're doing therapy, but it's very similar. And so I want you to see the difference. I want you to understand this from your brain's perspective. I want you to understand this from your historical perspective, and um, I want this to give you a lot of inspiration because I've worked with a lot of people, some people at various stages in their healing journey. Some of them have just started healing from and overcoming complex PTSD, anxiety, or depression. Other people have done a ton of therapy and they just can't seem to hold results and make shifts. And the thing that all of them have in common is that they needed to make foundational shifts. They had holes in their foundation. And so, even though these people who had done a ton of healing work had done wonderful healing work, but they can't bring it in and set it on their foundational health and wellness, it just falls through the cracks, and their brain really can't hold it and sustain it. And I'm going to talk about why that is. But when we resolve the foundational issues, all that stuff comes online. And so all the work they've ever done just starts to show up. And it's really beautiful. A ton of rapid transformation, an explosion in capacity and expansion, and an observable shifts. For the people who are just beginning this work, we're working on that foundation right away, and we're doing some of that other stuff that these other people already started to do. And so that stuff just starts loading in simultaneously. That's why I like to layer all of the goodies together. But people who have already done a lot of work, we make these foundational shifts, and it's just shift, 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 shift. So if you've done a lot of talk therapy, if you've done hypnotherapy, if you've done dialectic behavioral therapies, if you've done the therapies and you're just frustrated because you still have daily symptoms, this is why. This correction is going to be life changing for you, and it's often overlooked because it's not the fun, it's not the sexy stuff. I don't know if I get to say that and not be canceled, but it's not the flashy stuff. It's not that stuff. It's the chop wood, carry water stuff, and but it's really really powerful, and we want to do it. And especially with histories of complex PTSD, it's the stuff that didn't happen in our childhoods. And so we're not conditioned for it. We don't have the endurance for it. And we learned that it's not valuable, it's not important. Not through teaching, through talking, but through just nobody doing it. And so we thought, well, this is what adulthood is like. You do these things, but you don't have this foundation. And this is often something outside of people's awareness because it's familiar. It's the teach a child the way they should go and they should not turn from it stuff. It's the I can't see it anymore because it's so unconscious. And so we want to bring this up and work it and get it stronger. And most things need to have their foundation redone. So if you didn't get a foundation, or in these things and in your emotional and mental health, or if you built a foundation that was good enough for the time, but now we just need to do some shifts, or you've built a beautiful one and you've outgrown it. This making a foundational shift is really important, and there are skills for this and a process for this. And so that's what we're going to talk about. So I'm Rachel McLeod. I'm a mental health therapist and an emotional wellness coach, and I help people do the brain work of resolving symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress, and making their life great and thriving. And so the brain has a really beautiful process for this. That process gets stopped and blocked because of how brains are designed and what happens in there. And so my work focuses on getting the brain unblocked. We're working with a different part of the brain, the part of the brain that serves as the gatekeeper of whether things will go through the healing process or will get rejected. And if it gets rejected, we're shifting into fight, flight, freeze, faint, or fawn, where we will notice our symptoms and our dysfunctions and our malfunctions. So if we can get the brain process up and running, we're going to shift out of survival mode, survival states, symptoms, and into processing, learning mode, rewiring, expansion, upgrading, updates, um, and just rebuilding mode. This is where all the magic happens. And so I really focus on getting the brain over there and getting it to work, because the experts live up here. We need to get it past the survival system up here. And to create your foundation, your mind body system, your executive functioning needs to build it. And so, in sessions with me, I'm not trying to give you a ton of information. I'm actually trying to help you do the brain work to get your team to build the health and wellness that you need, and to make the adjustments in your foundation that are required for you to sustain health and wellness. It's for you to sustain growth, expansion. Brains that are processing get better and better and better and better at things all the time. Right? And so, and one of the other pieces here is that we need to do this in the way brains are designed to do it. Okay, and brains are very experiential. So a lot of the exercises I've set up to have people do are to give your brain the experience of completing its healing, upgrading, rewiring processes. So we're actually walking your brain through its healing process, walking your brain through its symptom resolution process, walking your brain through its upgrading process. Where in a way that it understands, in the way that it's designed to shift into those behaviors, those activities, those functions. So we don't just say chill brain. No, we're going to walk your brain through the process of chilling. Okay, we're not just going to say calm down brain. We're going to walk it through we're not going to say, hey, build me this. We're going to walk it through the process of this. If your brain has not walked through its process, it's not wired in well. It's not mature in that function. It has a low ability to do that function. And so we're going to come beside it and support it so it's working at its optimal function, speed, and capacity. And that is awesome. That's what we're going to be doing. We're repatterning, we're retraining your mind body system, your brain, to do things. And then and it's not just calm down and chill. It's if we want to build something like self-esteem, we need that in the foundation. We want a foundation of self-esteem. Then what we are going to do is we're going to walk your brain through its process of building self-esteem. And we're going to get a bit built, and we're going to do it again. And we're going to have more built, and we're going to do it again. Okay, now, because brains will rewire based on the environment and the experiences teaching it that it needs to build something to be more efficient. If you have a success one time, that's fun. That's great. The brains are like, woo, this is fabulous. Look what we did. And then they go back to doing whatever it was they were doing before. There's no repatterning taking place. Okay, the brain does it the second time. And then it's like, hey, there's that thing we did again. Look at us. And look how good that was. And then it goes back. It's not very impressed. It doesn't start the rewiring process yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to walk it through building your confidence again, maybe in a different area, maybe in a different aspect, whatever. We're picking something because we're going to walk your brain through its process for building confidence again. And the third time, now it's like, oh, this is a thing we're doing. We're going to come behind it and do it again. Fourth time. Now that it's getting the message that we're going to do this multiple times. We're going to do this over and over again. And so we're going to do it a fifth time. By this time, your brain is taking all the data. Okay, we did this, we did that, we did each time it got this result. It's now learning about the process. It has enough data to say, okay, well, if we do that again, we're going to do it like this so that it works better. Now you're teaming up with your brain to build a function. Okay, now we're rewiring. We're getting a neural network of function that we are creating. Now that's wonderful. Now we got to sink it into the foundation. Okay, and so that's the next piece that we're doing, because there are 4 levels of competence. I have a whole video on this. I love that video. I love this concept. I use it a lot. And the first level is unconscious incompetence. The next level is conscious incompetence. This is where you don't know that you're incompetent. You do know that you're aware that you're incompetent, at something like chilling out or self-esteem, or you just don't have it, right? And then we move into conscious competence, where you have to pay attention. If you pay attention and do it, right, it'll work. That's your working memory. Your every day you're like, I'm working on this habit. I'm working on this habit. That's a wonderful place to get to, but it takes a lot of resources. It's not easy. I don't want you living from that spot. If we stay there long enough, your brain will build unconscious competence, which means you can do it. You can do it well. You're going to be competent even without thinking about it. It's now on the unconscious processes. That goes into your foundation. So we need to do the thing. We need to help your brain walk it through its healing process, its process for creating your self-confidence enough times that it can move through these stages and sink it into unconscious competence. That's when it gets to be part of your foundation. And so there's a lot of healing work that takes place in our field, in the field of mental health, that helps people create really, really powerful shifts. And it elevates health and wellness. However, it doesn't necessarily always get it to the foundation. With every shift, there will be a foundational shift. But if you've got your history of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress was so young, we have a lot of work to do to rebuild your foundation. And so we want to take advantage of these things and make sure they get all the way down. We don't want to, a lot of our mental health work is for people that already have a decent foundation, that don't have a complex history, right? And so, the assumption is that we're going to do these shifts and there's going to be a big foundational shift. We don't know if your brain can even has a practice of making foundational shifts. So we're going to walk it through the process. I'm walking it through the process. I want to demonstrate for me, brain, that you can shift this on the foundational level. That's what I'm doing when I'm watching clients. I don't say it like that, and I'm not necessarily all that sassy about it, but I'm not taking your word for it. I'm not taking your brain's word for it. Just because you can do it right now, can you do it over here? Can you do it over here? Can you do it over here? If you can do it in all these areas, then I can see that your brain, it took it back into the shop and it said, let's use this better process in as many places as we had the other process. That's it. It transitioned from an old way of being to a new way of being, and in multiple different areas. That is high brain function. Your brain is in there cooking. If you have a childhood history of trauma, anxiety, depression, neglect, those sorts of things, your brain hasn't walked through that process. It's not masterful at that. It's masterful at surviving. Right? So your foundation is a survival foundation. It's great at that. We need to shift the momentum so that your foundation, the foundational shift, is now thriving functions, health and wellness functions, sustaining health and wellness functions. And there's usually quite a bit of repatterning and work there to get things to shift into unconscious competence or into a foundational level, so that how you show up and operate in any situation is more aligned with your foundation. Your foundation. That's what's going to, at the end of the day, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do whatever's in our foundation. And so we get a lot of choices with that if we can work with the mind-body system and how it creates those foundational shifts for us. And then we can walk it through its process. We can create any foundational shift we want if we learn this. And that's also why I'm doing this, because I want people to be really good at making their foundational shifts, because we're always outgrowing our subconscious programming, our foundation, right? We want it to be adaptive and flexible, and we want it to be wise, and we want there to be a lot of intelligence in how our brain unconsciously works with our foundation and creates and shifts our foundation. So that can take some work. And the better your brain has practiced these things, the quicker these shifts are going to make. So when I'm working with somebody and I watch their brain upgrade something in one time, I'm like, okay, we're just going to go in here and your brain's going to redo your foundation very quickly. And so usually those people, we can make a huge foundational shift in 2 months. Um, People that have had less of this type of brain function, which requires a lot of support. This is the work we're doing in with our early childhood work with our caregivers. They're actually wiring in a ton of brain function. So when I'm hearing that people that relationship with parents, the caregivers was unhealthy, abusive, neglectful, manipulative, dysfunctional on any level, I know that their brain didn't get a chance to do these healthier functions. So I know that we're going to be doing more time in the foundation work, and that takes longer. This is the longest amount of work. Now, if I can get them to do quite a bit of homework, we're still going to shift this in 2 to 6 months, right? But the longer they've spent over here, we also have to spend time building the health and wellness functions. And so that's why they're on the more 6 months if they're doing their exercises, their brain work the way they need to. And some people are absolutely in a hit it and quit it mode. They're like, let's rock. So, and other people are like, I'm exhausted from this. I need a longer route. And so we'll still do a ton of healing work, a ton of stuff of it, but maybe they don't do the amount of homework a day because they don't have capacity. And so we're going to pull this out to a year, 2 years. But we're going to see their brain make their life better and better and better and better the whole time. Any of this brain support, any of the where we're working with the survival system, every time we get it held over here and processing, however long we can keep it there, all of that is the brain working through the things it needs to help you have a great foundation. Now, in the beginning of this, the shift is like for 30 seconds, right? As long as you're using an intervention, we know your brain is over there, right? It's not like you've had when we're shifting, when you've lived your whole life in survival mode. In the beginning, it goes right back, right? The foundational shifts are minimal. The health and wellness creation is minimal, but it's powerful and it's significant. It means things. These are the little, your brain's like, I couldn't do a lot, but I did this. Those little things are going to become the big pieces as we continue to provide support. And you're going to watch your brain show up. And I don't know the timing for you because I don't know how much you have capacity to do this work, this repatterning. But you're going to see your brain take that little square and make it a big square in a very short amount of time. But with complex PTSD, it's my clients that do about 10 to 30 minutes a day, my therapy clients, it takes about a month to get the bigger things. And that's a rough ballpark. Somebody that's doing their homework, it's like, and we will work on multiple of these little squares. So we've got multiple squares going. So we're converting multiple squares into bigger squares in that month time. But people that are really doing their homework are going to turn this over in a matter of 3 days to a week, right? And so the brain can just put it together. Mind you, this is an electrical process that we're working. That means it's fast and there's a lot of work that can be done. And your brain will do this all day with you if you wanted to, which is kind of ridiculous because most of us can't stop our life. We have to fit it in with our life and let our brain make our life better and better while we're fully engaged in it. But the more this stuff heals and the more your brain organizes, the bigger, more space, the more capacity it has to do more work. So what I also find with my people that can only begin with 15 minutes or 10 minutes a day, pretty soon after that first month, they are now doing it 30 minutes a day. And because their capacity is bigger, they're less taxed, they're healthier, they're just running at a higher level of function. And so on all levels, digestion, their sleep, everything. So so we're taking dysfunction, we're cashing it in, and the brain is giving us back higher ways of being. We're going to see that show up in our life, and that's really, really awesome. That's the foundational shift as well. Okay, now I I want to talk about specific foundational shifts. So, because I've laid what I want to lay, but I want to say this about yeah, I think I've already said it, so I'm not going to revisit. Okay, let's talk about the foundational shifts that I want to see. And after this, you can put bows and whistles and glitter on it and take it higher, and your brain will naturally do that. Brains love to keep making improvements if brains are functioning. They love that stuff. So, but I want to get you to a functional level where you can go through your life as it is right now and you're not super triggered. Well, and maybe not as it is right now because some of us need to make some pretty big shifts. But I want your life, your immediate existence, to be mostly regulated, and that you have a higher mastery in the things that need to be accomplished. It's not a weight. It's not, you're not carrying around a ton of burdens, that you feel like you're ready for life. You're like, what are we doing today, life? As opposed to, oh God, what's next? You know, that's a system that's not keeping up with processing. That's a system that the foundation is not supporting meeting life on life's terms. So we need to resolve that. And so anyway, these are the things I want to accomplish very, very quickly as my client's capacity and is available for. And so this is something that needs to match. I'm saying this for you because I want you to think about yourself like this. You got to match your capacity with you. You can't have Heather's capacity. You can't have Jimmy's capacity. That's not, if you're going to be out there, you're not going to be in here. And so, and this is the only place that you're going to make these shifts. So, you can grieve about it. You can grieve that you don't have their capacity. I'm here for that. You can absolutely grieve for that. Use your intervention to help your brain process that grief. Don't stay stuck in a grief pattern. Grief is meant to come, get processed, create health and wellness, and return to wherever it came from and come back again when it has more to talk about. That process needs to be flowing and looping not looping in an unprocessed way, but you never get rid of these emotions. They're your team. Okay. So, foundational shifts I want to see people make. And this is meet you where you're at stuff. So these are things I'm checking off. If you've got these things, we're moving past it. If you don't have these things, this is where we're at, because your brain won't be able to do the higher functions before these things are here. Okay. So one of the first things that we want to do is we want to make a foundational shift from unsafe to safe. Now, I don't, in these videos, I don't talk about my process for these things because it's complex and it's nuanced and it has to be customized for your nervous system. That's why I have a program for that, where the exercises are outlined in that, and the exercises are designed to take your specific issues, your specific brain function, and to give you a strategy for accomplishing these pieces of work. Okay. And the strategies are very similar. Your brain will be working on the foundational shift it needs. And usually you'll see these themes. So if you are feeling unsafe when you go do these exercises, you will notice that the theme of the work is about safety, it's about fear, it's about insecurity, it's about worry, it's about fear, and survival level fear. And so that's, your brain knows what it needs to work on. And when I'm listening to people, I can hear this. If you had more training in this, you would hear this. You would be able to identify it. But since you may or may not be able to, just do the exercise. Your brain will take care of it because it knows its priorities. And then after you look back, you can say, oh, I was working on safety, shifting my foundational safety levels, that feeling more safe in the world, feeling more safe in my body. Oh, okay. And then you'll look back again and you'll be like, oh, okay, we were working on this. Right? But I want to make you aware because I just want you to know, I want you to have some signposts that you can look for. Okay. One of the other things we're going to do is the foundational pieces for me are safety, security, and stability. So after we've got safety going, and we will work these all at the same time, and they will grow and flower at their own time when your brain is like, we did it, look at this. But we need to work it now. Okay. So safety, from unsafe to safe, from insecure to secure, and from unstable to stable. These are massively big themes. In each of them, there are specific things that are needed. My brain works like this, so I love this. You don't have to nerd like this. You just go do the work. Your brain will do it for you. You don't need to nerd on this at all. As a matter of fact, I don't think there's any value. I try to make sure my clients are not nerding because there's no value. But since I don't know if you have started this work or not, I want to inspire you, so we're going to talk about it. Okay. And if you are one of my clients that are further along, this is the stuff you want to talk about because you want to go in there and be like, oh, look, you know. And so if you're in the beginning and this is blowing your mind, who cares? Don't even listen to this video anymore. Grab the interventions, enroll in my free program to learn some interventions to do this work, and just start using those interventions. See what your brain will do differently. Okay. But back to Nerdland. So we want to work. Those are the three things we want to work. Inside of that, what I want to see a foundational shift from using emotions, which is information and energy. I want to see a shift from using emotions in a dysfunctional way to functional way. I want to see emotions can be used to fuel survival states, to fuel behaviors. I want to see emotions are designed to flow through the system, deliver information to your executive functioning, and then provide the energy to fuel the behaviors and the intentions and the ideas of executive functioning. If we're doing this, if we're working with our emotions dysfunctionally, what we're going to see is the survival system is going to hijack the data, the information, and it's not going to use it because doesn't do logic or reasoning. And it's going to, if you take that energy and redirect it towards survival strategies. So that's why we get up or down in survival strategies, the freezing. The emotional energy has been repurposed for these strategies. I don't want your brain using energy like that. And it's not going to stop immediately. We have to teach it. We use our energy like this. And we will take, with complex PTSD, many of these emotions aren't traveling properly through the mind-body system. But in other people's situation, there's just a couple of them. And so to create a huge foundational shift, we can just take, let's say, despair or fear, one of these guys, whatever is offline for them. Sometimes it's jealousy, sometimes it's anger. Take that one fear, walk the brain through its process for processing anger, processing despair, whichever one we're working on. We're going to stay on that one so that your brain gets all that practice and it wires something new. And then it creates a subconscious program for this, and now you have unconscious competence on how you're running your anger, how your mind-body system utilizes your anger or despair. And we want to build that because you need it. We can't stop the whole show every time you get angry. We can't stop the whole show every time you feel jealous. Like these are your teammates. Why are they shutting everything down? Absolutely not. Let's go this way. Don't go that way. Wait, hold on. And this is right where we're using that intervention. We're holding your brain in the state where go this way. Let's take you by the hand, jealousy, and get you to the top. Brains convert this stuff into health and wellness. Jealousy becomes passion, love, expansion, new ways of being, enjoyment. It is a healthy, beautiful thing. I should do a video on jealousy. I don't think jealousy I think it has a bad rap. It's not getting the love and adoration I think it needs because people can't get it processed and it's fueling all these bad behaviors. That's not what it's supposed to be doing. It's supposed to be coming up through all the executive functioning land and being added morals and values and desires and information, translation, and clarity about who we are, what we want, and the path to get there. So, yes. I'm going to write a book on these emotions because yes, exactly what I said. I don't think they're getting the right love and support. But we want to repair that so that when jealousy starts moving through our system, it gets to go to the top. It's not fueling all this other survival stuff. So when we get that going, it starts moving in the background. The mind body system's processing this stuff without bringing it to our attention, and it's just part of a healthy function. If it's not moving well, the brain's going to put it in our face, and it's going to put it through our body. Our body's going to get louder and louder about it, and that's the mind body system saying, hey, I need some support. Okay. Another foundational shift that's really, 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 really important, and it's built on all of these things, and all of these things don't have to be here in place for us to see shifts. So these are all separate compartments that work together, okay? But this is what I want to see. I want to see it's a shift, foundational shift in the level of operation with ourselves and others. And that shift is from superficial to intimate. I want to see people make a shift from superficial to intimate. And brains, especially if you have a childhood history of complex PTSD, a relational distress, trauma, abuse, neglect, since you haven't been able to practice healthy intimacy, our brains will malfunction the most in intimacy. And that sucks because your brain knows this and it will keep you over in superficial. And so we need to help your system create that foundational shift into intimacy because the health of your relationships requires it. Systems will get frustrated, bored, angry with if you're somebody who can't go any deeper than superficial, you're going to have a hard time sustaining and enriching your relationships. We need that to go deeper. If you have a superficial relationship with yourself, we need that to go deeper. You don't have enough information about you to make you run and to make you run well. So we need to get your system used to that. And that's brains don't like new. It's the survival system can freak out about that. We want to hold the survival system in a regulated state when we do this work. So we're using a lot of interventions that talk with that part of the brain very specifically. That part of the brain is why the interventions I'm teaching are different than what we do in traditional talk therapies, because we're providing the support your brain needs to make the shifts that need to be made and to receive. We're sending safety signals to that part of the brain, which is how it knows to let healing happen. If it's unsafe, you're not no healing. The healing process is shut down. Okay, so that's one of the foundational shifts we need. We will always need that. At some point, we will get all this growth in our intimacy, and then as we use that, it'll feel superficial. It's like we want more, and so we want to be able to move that out. And I want to watch people go through that process a couple times, because not only do we want to build it out, right? But I want to watch you build a foundational ability to build it out again and to recognize that I want to go deeper and build it out again. I want to see you taking care of your inner world like that. Okay, another one is the foundational shift to what's fueling your behaviors. This is very similar to how our emotions are moving, but it's a little different. This is like if I'm being helpful to people, am I doing it because of shame or fear? Or am I doing it because this is aligned with my purpose and these are my desires and this brings me joy? This is a shift from fear, survival-based living, and behaving to desire, self-actualization, fulfillment, joy-based living. And I want to see your system make that shift. These are big projects. They don't have to take a ton of time, but they're big projects. And we're going to put a little elbow grease on it, as we used to say, as my grandmother used to say. I don't hear that very much anymore. Anyway, it's a fabulous analogy. But so we're shifting that. Okay, I also want to see a shift in problem solving. So I want to see brains that aren't problem solving well are full. The mind body system and the life and relationships are full of a ton of conflict. And so I want to see your brain take internal conflict and work that out so that there's internal harmony. I want to do it in one area. If there's a ton, I want to do it one. Can you do it, brain? Can you do this one little one we're asking you to do? And then it will, because brains can. And then do it again, right? And pretty soon the brain is creating a foundational shift and upgrade into how conflict is utilized. Conflict is really important. It's really valuable. It is where all synergy, the opportunities for synergy are available to us. We want to take your system and growth and connection. So we want to see your system take conflict and convert it into growth, connection, and synergy. Starting in the inner world, tiny projects, and I say tiny projects, but some people, whatever that means to you, some people's tiny projects are this big, and some people's tiny projects are this big, and I want to see how it works, and then we're going to grow its capacity, and while we're fulfilling the shift. So while we're making the move over, we're also building capacity. So there's two things going on here. I'm gonna have to talk about that later. Okay, I need a whole video for that. Those are some of the foundational shifts. And if as you're working, you can use any of your own language for this. There are shifts that your brain needs that nobody around you, everybody else doesn't need. There are shifts that they need that you don't need, right? And so there are things here that maybe you would say it in a different way. But these are the shifts we need. We need these shifts. We need shifts in communication. We need to create a foundation of, some people's foundational communication style is violent communication or aggressive communication. We need to shift that over to healthy communication, constructive communication. That's a foundational shift. We want that deep in the foundation. We don't want to keep it up in the conscious competence where you're being mindful. We want to take it further so that it comes down here. That's how you get freedom. That's how you get that lasting sustainability. That's how your subconscious programming is working it for you. And then you get your working memory back. And that's one of the other things when I see people that can't remember things, that I'm like, and things that they've been doing for a while and their memory is full. It's like, why hasn't some of this stuff been moved to the subconscious processes yet? Processing challenges. So we're going to get in there and help that stuff move over in a way that is aligned with how your brain actually does its work. Okay? There's nothing more frustrating than a boss telling you to do something and to do it in a way that is not the way you actually work. So we're going to customize this to your brain and get your brain moving and processing. So having said that, this is important work. And I want to tell you that I have really found words for this because I've been looking over at all these people that do like 4 sessions or 10 sessions with people. And I'm like, I'm over here, like elbows up. We're in here for hours. I mean, my process is 120 to 300 hours of specific and targeted brain work. And we can do that in 2 to 6 months, or we can do that in a year, 2 years, whatever. But I am not a 4 and 10 hour session person. And sometimes I do work with people 4 hours. I have those offerings on my website, but it's not a completion. I don't do a completion thing. What I'm doing is making this foundational shift. And a lot of these other practitioners do beautiful work, and they're doing very specific stuff that is going to create health and wellness, but not necessarily repair the whole foundation. And so I do encourage people to play with those people. It's wonderful, and it's not going to change the fact that you need a foundational shift if you need one, that you need to get in there and repair your foundation. And so I think one day I'd like to be one of those people where, my online stuff is enough and y'all are like building your foundation, and then we just do some 4 sessions of, oh, hey, I want to take my business higher. I want to take my confidence higher. I want to feel safe in the, tiny project. But how I keep feeling at this point is that this foundational piece needs to really have time, and I just really want to put my flag up for it, be that person for now, as we as a whole in mental health are learning to help people create foundational shifts. So it's the one thing I see other therapists not doing. When I get their clients, I am just like, there's a hole here. But this is magical. And essential. This is how brains work. If you don't have a foundation of healthy processing, and that's one of the other shifts, going from not being able to process things to being able to process a bunch of things. So I share that with you. I hope you're inspired by that. I hope this clicks. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm at a point now where people are emailing me and I cannot keep up. So not emailing me. I am keeping up with my email. People are leaving comments on videos and I'm not keeping up. So, but I am reading them. I just don't have time to give you the nuanced feedback that I'd like to give you. And so, but I'm making videos because of your comments and I'm responding to the things, and I will eventually get some support to take that over again. But, but I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear what comes up for you as I say this. I want to hear what insights you're having to yourself. I want you to know that I also want you to know that just because you've done a lot of work and you're not seeing the results, it's not over. There is some solutions here, and your foundation holds a ton of the keys and cues for where your next levels of growth are to get the sustainable health and wellness. So, this is a good time for me to invite you to my 8-week program, Inner World Transformation. It's a self-study online program. It is fantastic. I just met with somebody recently. They came to my free Q&A, and are doing beautiful with that. I've never met them before, all on their own. Other people know that they want more support. I offer one-on-one sessions and coaching in small group. And for people who are just like, I don't know what to do, would this help me? Look at my foundation, Rachel. Tell me what's going on there. I do offer consultation calls. I'm no longer doing the free a breakthrough call. These consultation calls are much deeper than what I used to be doing. And so, but they're still wonderful. If you do want to attend something free where we have live interaction and I can look at your foundation, join my free program. And in there, I'll send you a link to my free Q&A where you can ask me questions. I'll have looks and I'll give you some feedback. So that's a shift I've made, but I'd love to help in any capacity that's the right fit for us. And yeah, and check out my blog. It's moving again. I've hit a writing bug. So anyway, between now and then, I am going to go and to get off this, and I will see you soon. But I'm cheering for you. Make foundational shifts. Make foundational shifts. Step in to your foundation and watch all the beautiful things that will unfold for you. Take care. Bye.